The Long Winter by Laura Ingalls Wilder. Chapter 18. Merry Christmas. The blizzard stopped at last. After 3 days of its ceaseless noise, the stillness rang in Laura's ears. Pa hurried away to get a load of hay, and when he came back he put David in the stall. The sun was shining, glistening on the snow. There was no cloud in the northwest, and Laura wondered why he stopped hauling hay. "What's wrong, Charles?" Ma asked quietly when Pa came in. Pa answered, "Gilbert made it to Preston and back. He brought the mail." It was as if Christmas had happened unexpectedly. Ma hoped for the church paper. Laura and Mary and Carrie hoped for Reverend Alden to have sent them something to read. Sometimes he did. Grace was excited because they were all excited. It was hard to wait for Pa to come back from the post office. He was gone a long time. As Ma said, it did no good to be impatient. Every man in town was at the post office, and Pa must wait his turn. When at last he came, his hands were full. Ma reached eagerly for the church papers, and Laura and Carrie both tried to take the bundle of the Youth Companions. They were all in newspaper, too. "Here, here," Pa laughed. "Don't mob a fellow. And that's not the whole of it. Guess what I got? A letter." "Oh, Pa, did you get a letter?" La cried. "Who's it from?" "You've got the advantage, Charles." Carolyn, Pa replied, and Laura and Carrie got the Youth Companions. "I've got the Inter-Ocean and the Pioneer Press. Mary gets the letter." Mary's face shone. She felt the letter size and the thickness. A big, fat letter. "Please read it, Ma." So Ma opened the letter and read it aloud. The letter was from Reverend Alden. He was sorry that he had not been able to come back and help organize a church last spring, but he had spent it further north. He had hoped to be with them when spring came again. The children of the Sunday school in Minnesota were sending a bundle of Youth Companions to the girls and would send another bundle next year. His church had shipped them a Christmas barrel, and he had hoped the clothing would fit. As his own Christmas gift and some slight return for their hospitality to him, to the Reverend Stewart last winter at the Silver Lake, he had put in a Christmas turkey. He wished them all a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. There was a little silence when Ma had finished reading. Then she said, "We have a good letter anyway. Gilbert brought the word that they were putting on a dozen able work crews and 2 snowplows at the Tracy Cut," Pa told them. "We may get that barrel by Christmas." "It's only a few days," Ma said. "A lot can be done in a few days," said Pa. If this spell of clear weather holds, no reason they can't get the train through." "Oh, I hope the Christmas barrel comes," Carrie said. "The hotels have shut down," Pa told Ma. "They've been burning lumber, and now Banker Ruth has bought out the entire lumber yard down to the last shingle. We couldn't afford to burn lumber anyway," she said. "But Charles, we're almost out of coal." "We'll burn hay," Pa answered cheerfully. "Hay?" Ma said. "How can we burn hay?" She thought of how quickly the prairie fires swept through the grass, flame licking the light, and the stems were gone before the frail ashes could fall. How in the world could it keep a room warm? Even in the already steady glowing of hard coal could not keep it out the cold. "We will have to contrive," Pa said. "We'll manage it. Needs must, when the devil drives." "Likely the train will get through in time," Ma said. Pa put on his cap and again Ma asked to make dinner a little later. He had time to haul another load of hay if he hurried. He went out, and Ma said, "Come on, girls. Put the bundle of youth companions away. We must get out the washing while the weather is clear so we can." All day Laura and Carrie and Mary looking forward to the youth's companion, and often they spoke of them. But the bright day was short. They stirred and punched the clothes boiling in the stove. They lifted them on a broom handle and into a tub where Ma soaped and rubbed them. Laura rinsed them. Carrie stirred the bluing bag in the second rinse until the water was blue enough. Laura made the boiling starch, and when the last time Ma went out to the cold to hang the freezing wash on the line, Pa had come for dinner. Then they washed the dishes, they scrubbed the floor and blackened the stove, and washed the inside of the window panes. Ma brought in a frozen dry clothes, and they sorted them and sprinkled them and rolled them tightly, ready for ironing. Twilight had come. It was too late to read that day, and after supper there was no lamplight because they must save the last of the kerosene. Work comes before pleasure, Ma always said. She smiled her gentle smile for Laura and Carrie and said, "Now, my girls have helped me do good work all day long, and they were rewarded. Tomorrow we'll read a story." Carrie said happily, "Tomorrow we will have to do the ironing," Laura reminded her. "Yes, and we should air the bedding and give the upstairs a thorough cleaning in this good weather," said Ma. Pa came in and heard them. "Tomorrow I'm going to work on the railroad," he said. Mr. Woodworth had word to put out a work on the track, all the men that he could. The superintendent at Tracy cut the driving and work there in the shovel gang, the shovels eastward from Horton. "If muscle and willpower can do it, we'll have the train through by Christmas," Pa declared. That night he came back from work with a broad smile. "Good news," he called out. "The work train will come through sometime tomorrow." "The regular train will come next, day after tomorrow probably." "Oh, good, good," Laura and Carrie exclaimed together. "That is good news." "What's wrong with your eyes, Charles?" His eyes were red and puffy. He answered cheerfully, "Shoveling snow in the sunshine is hard on your eyes. Some of the men are snowblind. Fix me up a little weak salt water, will you, Caroline, and I'll bathe them after I do the chores." When he had gone to the stable, Ma dropped into the chair next to Mary. "I'm afraid, girls, this will be a poor Christmas. What with the awful storms and trying to keep warm, we've had no time to plan for it." "Maybe the Christmas barrel," Carrie began. "We mustn't count on it," said Mary. "We could wait for Christmas till it comes," Laura suggested. And she picked up Grace, who was listening wide-eyed. "Can't Santa Claus come?" Grace asked, and her lower lip began to tremble. Laura hugged her and looked into her golden head at Ma. Ma said firmly, "Santa Claus always comes to good little girls, Grace. But girls," she went on, "I have an idea. What do you think of saving the church papers and your bundle to open on Christmas Day?" After a moment, Mary said, "I think it's a good idea. It will help us to learn self-denial." "I don't want to," said Laura. "Nobody does," said Mary, "but it's good for us." Sometimes Laura did not even want to be good. But after another silent moment, she said, "Well, if you and Mary want to, Ma, I will. It will give us something to look forward to on Christmas." "What do you say about it, Carrie?" asked Ma. And Carrie's small voice said, "I will too, Ma." "That was good, girls," Ma approved. She went on, "We can find a little something in the stores for," and she glanced at Grace, "but you older girls know Pa hasn't been able to get work for the wages this year. We can't spend money for presents, but we can have a happy Christmas just the same. I'll try to contrive something extra for dinner, and then we'll open our papers and read them. And When it is too dark to read, Pa will play the fiddle. We hadn't much flour left, Ma, Laura said. The storekeepers are asking 25 cents a pound for flour, so Pa's waiting for the train, Ma replied. And nothing to make a pie anyway. And 2 pairs of suspenders were in the showcase. Must have skipped a page. Butter for eggs or a cake. But we'll think of something for Christmas dinner. Laura sat thinking. She was making a little picture frame of cross-stitch in the woods on a tin silver-colored cardboard. Up the sides and across the top she had made a pattern of small blue flowers and green leaves. Now she was outlining the picture opening in blue, while she put the tiny needle through the perforations of the cardboard and drew the fine colored wool through that after it. She was thinking how wistful Carrie had looked at the beautiful thing. She decided to give it to Carrie for Christmas. Someday perhaps she could make another for herself. How fortunate it was that she had finished knitting the lace for her petticoat. She would give it to Mary and to Ma, and she would give the cardboard hair receiver that she had already embroidered to match the picture frame. Ma could hang it on the corner of her looking-glass, and when she combed her hair she would put the combings in it to use later for hair switches as she was making. But what could she do for Pa, she asked. I declare I don't know, Ma worried. I can't think of a thing. I've got some pennies, Carrie said. There's my college money, Mary began, but Ma said, no, Mary, we won't touch that. I have 10 cents, Laura said thoughtfully. How many pennies have you, Carrie? I have 5, Carrie told her. We'd need 25 to get a pair of suspenders, Laura said. He needs a new pair. I have a dime, said Ma. So that was settled. Laura, you and Carrie better go and buy 'em as soon as Pa's gone to work tomorrow morning. Next day, when their morning work was done, Laura and Carrie crossed the snowy street to Mr. Hawthorne's store. Mr. Hawthorne was there alone, and the shelves were bare. On both sides of the walls were the only few pair of men's boots and women's shoes and some bolts of calico. The bean barrel was empty. The cracker barrel was empty. The little brine in the bottom of the pork barrel had no pork in it. The long, flat codfish box held only a little salt scattered on its bottom. The dried apple box and the dried blackberry box were also empty. I'm sold out of groceries till the train gets here, Mr. Hawthorne said. I was expecting a bill of groceries when this train stopped. Some pretty handkerchiefs, combs, and hairpins. 2 pairs of suspenders were in the showcase. Laura and Carrie looked at the suspenders. They were plain, dull gray. Shall I do them up for you, Mr. Hawthorne asked. Laura did not like to say no, but she looked at Carrie and saw that Carrie hoped she would. No, thank you, Mr. Hawthorne, she said. We will not take them now. Out on the glistening cold again, she said to Carrie, let's go to Lofton's store and see if we can find a prettier one. They bent their heads against the strong cold wind and struggled along the icy path on the store's porches till they reached the other dry goods store. That store was bare and echoing too. Every barrel and box was empty, and where the canned goods had been, there were only 2 flats of cans of oysters. I'm expecting a stock of groceries when the train comes tomorrow, Mr. Lofton told them. It won't get here any time too soon. In his showcase was a pair of blue suspenders with red flowers, beautifully machine woven along them, and bright brass buckles. Laura had never seen such pretty suspenders. They were just right for Pa. How much are they? She asked, almost sure that they would cost too much, but the price was 25 cents. Laura gave Mr. Lofton the only 2 25-cent pieces, Carrie's 5 pennies, and Ma's thin silver 10-pence piece. She took the slim package, and the wind blew and carried breathless all the way home. At bedtime that night, no one spoke of hanging up stockings. Grace was too young to know about hanging stockings on Christmas Eve, and no one else was expecting presents. But they have never been so eager for Christmas Day, because the tracks were clear now, and the train would come tomorrow. Laura's first thought in the morning was, the train is coming today. The window was not frosted, the sky was clear, and the snowy prairie had turned rosy in the early sunshine. The train would surely come, and joyfully Laura thought about her Christmas surprises. She slid out of bed without waking Mary, and quickly pulled on her dress in the cold. She opened the box where she kept her own things. She took out a roll of knitted lace, already wrapped carefully in tissue paper. Then she found the prettiest card she had ever been given in Sunday school, and she took the little embroidered picture frame and the cardboard hair receiver. With these in her hands, she hurriedly tiptoed downstairs. Ma looked up in surprise. The table was set, and Ma was putting on each plate a little package wrapped in red and white striped paper. "Merry Christmas, Ma," Laura whispered. "Oh, what are they there?" "Christmas presents," Ma whispered. "Whatever have you got there?" Laura only smiled. She put her packages at Ma's plate and Mary's. Then she slipped the Sunday school card into the embroidered frame for Carrie. She whispered. She and Ma looked at it. It was beautiful. Ma found a piece of tissue paper to wrap it in. Carrie and Grace and Mary were already clambering down the stairs, calling, "Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas." Carrie squealed, "I thought we were waiting for Christmas till Christmas Barrel came." "Oh, look, look! What is it?" Mary asked. "There are presents at every plate on the table," Carrie told her. "No, no, Grace mustn't touch," Ma said. "We will all wait for Pa." So Grace ran around the table looking but not touching. Pa came in with milk, and Ma strained it. Then Pa stepped into the lean-to and came back grinning broadly. He handed Ma the 2 tins of oysters from Lofton's store. "Charles," Ma said, "make us some oyster soup for Christmas dinner, Caroline." Pa had told her, "I got some milk from Ellen, but not much, and it's the last. She's all but good and dry, but maybe you can make it." "I'll thin it out with water," said Ma. "We'll have oyster soup for Christmas dinner." Then Pa saw the table. Laura and Carrie laughed out loud. "Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Pa." And Laura told Mary Pa's surprised. "Hooray for Santa Claus," Pa sang out. "The old fellow must have made it in if the train didn't." They all sat down at their places, and Ma gently held back Grace's hands. "Pa opens his first, Grace," she said. Pa picked up his package. "Now what can this possibly be? Who gave this to me?" He untied the string, unfolded the paper, and held up the new flowered suspenders. "Whew!" he exclaimed. "Now how am I ever going to wear my coat? These are too fine to cover up." He looked around at all the faces. "All of you did this," he said. "Well, I'm so proud to wear them." "Not yet, Grace," Ma said. "Mary is next." Mary unwrapped the yards of fine knitted lace. She fingered it lovingly, and her face was shining with delight. "I shall wear this when I go to college," she said. "It's another thing to help me to go, and I'll be so pretty on the white petticoats." Carrie was looking at her presents. The picture of the Good Shepherd in his blue and white robes, and his arms holding the white lamb, the silvery card, the embroider with the blue flowers, made it a perfect frame. "Oh, how lovely," Carrie whispered. Ma said the hair receiver was just what she had been needing. Then Grace tore the paper from her gift and gave a gurgling joy. 2 little fat wooden men stood on a platform between the 2 fat posts. Their hands held, and they twisted tightly together above their heads. They wore peaked red caps and blue coats with gold buttons. Their trousers were red and green stripes. Their boots were black and with a turned-up toes. Ma gently pressed the button of the posts inward. One man did a somersault up, and the other one would swing into his place. Then the first one would come down, and the second one went up. They were dancing and swung their legs, dancing, somersaulting. "Oh, look, look!" Grace shouted. She could never have enough of watching the funny little men dancing. The small striped packages at each place held Christmas candy. "Wherever did you get candy, Pa?" Laura wondered. "I got it from some time ago. It was the last bit of sugar in town," said Pa. "Some folks said they'd use it for sugar, but I made sure it was for our Christmas candy." "Oh, what a lovely Christmas," Carrie sighed. Laura thought so, too. Whatever happened, they could always have a Merry Christmas. And the sun was shining, the sky was blue, the railroad tracks were clear, and the train was coming. The train had come through the Tracy Cut that morning. Sometime that day they would hear the whistle and see it stopped at the depot. At noon, Ma was making oyster soup. Laura was setting the table. Carrie and Grace were playing with the jumping jacks. Ma tasted the soup and let the kettle back on the stove. "The oysters are ready," she said, and she was stooping as she looked at the slices of bread toasting it in the oven. "And the bread is toasted. Whatever is Pa doing?" "He's bringing in hay," said Laura. Pa opened the door. Behind him, the lean-to, almost full of slough hay, he asked, "Is the oyster soup ready?" "I'm taking it up now," Ma replied. "I'm glad the train is coming. This is the last of the coal." Then she looked at Pa and asked, "What's wrong?" Pa said slowly, "There's clouds in the northwest." "Oh no, not another blizzard," Ma cried. "I'm afraid so," Pa answered. "But it needn't spoil our dinner." He drew his chair up to the table. "I've packed in plenty of hay into the stable and filled the lean-to. Now for our oyster soup." The sun kept on shining while they ate. The hot soup was good, even though the milk was mostly watered. Pa crumbled the toast to his soup plate. "This toasted bread is every bit as good as crackers," he told Ma. "I don't know if it's not even better." Laura enjoyed the good soup, but she could not stop thinking of the dark clouds coming. She could not stop listening for the wind, and she knew soon that it would come. It came with a shriek. The windows rattled and the house shook. "She must be a daisy," Pa said. He went on to the window, but he could not see out. Snow came on the window from the winds and the sky. Snow rose, and the hard drift of the wind cut them away. It all met in a whirlwind of air, swirled madly. The sky, the sunshine, the town were gone, lost in the blinding dance of snow. The house was alone again, Laura thought. The train can't come now. "Come, girls," said Ma. "We can get the dishes out of the way, then we'll open our papers and have a cozy afternoon." "Is there coal enough?" Laura asked. Pa looked at the fire. "It will last till supper, and then we'll burn hay." Frost was freezing up the window panes, and the room was cold near the walls. Near the stove, the light was too dim for reading. When the dishes were washed and put away, Ma set the lamp on the red checkered tablecloth and lit it. There was only a little kerosene in the bowl where the wick coiled, but it gave off a warm, cheery light. Laura opened the bundle of Youth Companions, and she and Carrie looked eagerly at the wealth of stories printed on the smooth white paper. "You girls choose a story," Ma said, "and I will read it aloud so we can all enjoy it together." So, close together between the stove and the bright table, they listened to Ma reading the story in her soft, clear voice. The story took them far away from the storm, and when she had finished, Ma let them read a second and a third. That was enough for one day. They must save some for another time. Aren't you glad we saved those wonderful stories for Christmas Day? Mary sighed happily. And they were. The whole afternoon had gone by so quickly. Already it was chore time. When Pa came back from the stable, he stayed some time in the lean-to and came in at last with his arms full of sticks. Here is your breakfast fuel, Caroline, he said, laying an armful down by the stove. Good hard sticks of hay. I guess they will burn all right. Sticks of hay, Laura exclaimed. That's right, Laura. Pa spread his hands in the warmth of the stove. I'm glad that hay is in the lean-to. I couldn't carry it in through the wind and all the blowing now unless I brought it in one bale at a time in my teeth. The hay was in sticks. Pa had somehow twisted and knotted it tightly, till each stick was almost as hard as wood. Sticks for hay, Ma laughed. What won't you think of next? Trust you, Charles, to always find a way. You are good at that yourself, Pa smiled at her. For supper there was hot boiled potatoes and slices of bread with salt. That was the last baking of bread, but there were still beans in the sack and a few turnips. There was still hot tea with sugar, and Grace had her cup of cambric tea made with hot water because there was still no milk. While they were eating, the lamp began to flicker. With all of its might, the flame pulled itself up, drawing the last drop of kerosene up through the wick. Then it fainted down and desperately tried again. Ma leaned over and blew it out. The dark came in loud with a roar and the shrieking of the storm. The fire was dying anyway, so we might as well go to bed, Ma had said. Christmas Day was over. Laura lay in the bed and listened to the winds blowing louder and louder. They sounded like the pack of wolves howling around the little house. When she was small and Pa had carried her in her arms, there had been a deeper howl of a great buffalo wolf that she and Carrie had met on the bank of Silver Lake. She started trembling when she heard the screams of the panther in the creek bed in Indian territory, but she knew that it was only wind. Now she heard the Indian wampums the Indian dances, which she heard by the Verdigay River. The war wampums died away, and she heard crowds of people muttering, then shrieking and fleeing, screaming away from the fierce yells chasing them. But she knew she heard only the voices of blizzard winds. She pulled up the bed covers over her head and covered her ears tightly to shut out the sounds that she had heard and continued to hear.